Happy Friday, and let's do a quick little whiteboard lesson, right? So we have one happy person, right? And there are three ways that if said happy person ever got sick, we could consider treating things. And it all depends on what expresses itself the most. Now, if you recall in one of the last videos that I did, I stated that, I have three priorities in life, right? Income, time, and health. And when it comes to medicine, I treat medicine or holistic health in a very similar capacity. But instead of it being income, time, and health, it's mind, emotions, and physical body, right? So these are the three priorities. Or some people might even say the three joys, right? Shin, Chi, and Jing. Or mind, energy and motion, and Jing, the essence of the physical body. Now, all depending on what's happening with this individual or with said happy person, if there are things where a person experiences or expresses more complaints about their mental well-being, right, or their emotional well-being, or physical discomfort, I'm just going to put minus signs next to all of those. If there are negatives in any of these areas, then I look at things more specific to those particular areas and then how they may respond to the other parts of the body, right? So typically things that affect the mind can affect all three areas of the body or all three elements and perspectives of holistic health. And then of course, you know, um, if it's not necessarily visible in the physical body what's happening, we look at what kind of emotions are primarily being expressed. Is it happiness? Is it joy? Is it sadness, anxiety, grief? You know, and in the physical body, we look at it very similar too. So you have your high blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, weight, inflammation, lack of physical mobility, all those things. And all those things would, of course, fall into the area or the realm of physical disorders, right? Or dis-ease, discomfort. So if you've ever considered or wondered how it is that you can look at yourself holistically and not just from Google Foo and Google Medicine, you know let me let you know right now, it's going to be a little bit easier when you address your health from these areas. All right, now when it comes to also considering people who want to take a more naturopathic approach towards their health, like I want to start consuming but eating better food, right? Maybe not necessarily what you're eating but how you're eating it, right? So things that you should probably consider doing or abstaining from would probably be staying away from microwaves, right? Staying away from too much food inside of plastic, all right? Things that you're not preparing yourself, start there, right? If you're over consuming food, then I guess this is where we start talking about balance, right? So you have, and this is where like we talk about yin and yang, right? And this is just creating balance in the whole equation. So if you're yin representing the physical, right? If you're under exercising, right, and you're overeating, this this is where we look at yin issues, right? Yin excess, yin deficiency, uh, excess heat, things in that nature, or where the body has too much, right? But also yin is typically deficient, so it's more likely that there's a lack of exercise over overconsumption, and so we would more likely, in comparison to eating, we wouldn't put it on the yin side of things, we would put it on the yang side of things, right? So here's where we create the balance. Here's where we create the balance. If you're not exercising enough and you're overeating, if you're not if you're under exercising but you're overeating, then the simple recourse of action is to eat less, or eat less in one sitting, right? Which means that maybe you eat more frequently throughout the day. And this is just a way of helping you to speed up your metabolism. And then you exercise more, right? So this is one other way that I oftentimes like to use very simple approaches towards making drastic improvements in people's health. And well, one of the things that I've been able to do, especially in this month, is lower blood pressure. Now, lowering blood pressure is easier than most people think because, well, I'll keep it still in the yin yang form of things, right? When it comes to blood pressure, and let me just draw a little heart up here so that way I still keep your attention on, you know, this example or this illustration, this one illustration, right? So I have technically 5 ways that I could treat the heart, right? So there's the heart up here, all right? Now, creating a balance between the yin and the yang, or in this case, high blood pressure, right? And now I'm going to just try starting to write a little bit in reverse. That way you don't miss out on this information. But how I would take care of high blood pressure is I would look at what is in excess and what's in deficiency. So let's say what's on the excess and what's in deficiency. Now, typically when it comes to high blood pressure, people are not drinking enough water, right? H2O, there we go. They're not drinking enough water. They're also constipated. They're not going to the bathroom enough. So constipated, all right? And typically on the excess side of things, when they're constipated, there's usually like more abdominal content, right? So there's a whole lot of back pressure. So helping people either A, drink more water, which may help them to also moisten their intestines, relieves them of constipation, which also will lower blood pressure. Interesting thing about dehydration is that when there's less water or fluid in the body, it also can possibly give a false reading of high blood pressure. So it's important to hydrate. And in case people are curious, like, yeah, you could go ahead and do your alkaline water, but like anything that's in a plastic bottle that's like alkalinized over like 8 pH, it's it's losing its alkalinity just with the exposure to sunlight. So something else to take into consideration. All right. Other things about high blood pressure, usually there's not enough fiber in the diet, right? And we're talking that could either be water soluble fiber or fat soluble fiber, right? So, one particular food that I like for high blood pressure tends to be celery. Okay, so I'm not going to write that on this board. Well, maybe I should, right? I'm writing everything else on the board. Don't be lazy, Prince. So, celery. I'm getting pretty good at writing in reverse now. Just takes a little practice, right? So celery has water soluble and fat soluble fibers, but you gotta eat the stalk. You gotta eat the actual stuff. All right, and it's a lot of chlorophyll when you think about it. So one thing about celery is that fresh celery also has a phytonutrient which I can't even remember the name of it right now, But that particular phytonutrient is known to not only help remove low density lipid cholesterol from out of the body through bowel motility, through elimination, defecation, all these science words, right? It's good for you to be exposed to them so that way you don't feel like they're unfamiliar to you if you ever have to sit and speak with your primary care physician. So not only does celery, the water and fat soluble fibers, help to absorb toxins from out of the intestine, specific like such as cholesterol, which may be coming from the bile that enters well, there's a lot to digestion. I'll talk more about that another time. But basically, celery not only helps reduce LDL, low density lipid cholesterol, right? It also helps the kidneys aid in elimination, and it also has a phytonutrient which helps to repair the vascular wall of your arteries and veins. So this is good for circulation. It's also good for reducing edema. And if you're interested in some celery because you yourself or someone you love may need to go get some and they don't want to keep doing fresh celery, then consider getting a powder, okay? And because you're not consuming enough of these foods, of course, let's put these things onto the positive side. So there's the easy treatment, right? We just simply consume more celery, which naturally has more fiber, right? And this will help also to reduce constipation. And celery is also a thermogenic food, which means that it speeds up or increases your body's heat. All right, so it's a thermogenic food. It actually causes your body to burn more calories in the consumption of it than in the actual metabolism of it, right? Like, it's an interesting thing. So celery will actually help your body burn more fat, and that's also really good for women, considering that fat produces estrogen. And because you don't want to have too much estrogen in your body, which may lead to estrogen specific disorders, related to monthly menses, it's extremely important to naturally seek forms of natural hormonal regulation. Celery is one such food which dietarily will help you do that. There's an herb called, angelica root, also known as dong quai, and angelica root is also excellent for regulating hormones. If anyone's interested in any of this information, feel free to comment down below, and I'll be sure to go into a video for you in that regard. Okay, so angelica root, celery, particularly for women, really good at helping to regulate hormones, reduce the risk of estrogen specific disorders from developing and arising. And of course, for everybody, both men and women, you want to have more water in play. Right now, when it comes to water, I recommend, when you're ill and you're trying to get the most out of your nutrients, going with distilled water. Okay, now distilled water is essentially neutral water at 7.5. Okay, so it's still on the alkaline side of things. And with the distilled water, when you combine the celery along with, let's say, angelica root, and you squeeze a little bit of lemon, maybe add a little bit of maple syrup in there, you get a nice little lemonade that helps you not only burn calories, also helps your cells optimize the electrolytes. It helps regulate kidney functions and hormonal functions, of course, as well. And you're telling your body, burn some fat, kill some fat cells. You can even increase the thermogenic activity by adding cayenne pepper, which will also increase the thermogenic benefits of celery. It'll also naturally increase your internal temperature, which is where you want to feel the heat at. It's not so much feeling the heat on the outside. Most people think, oh, I'm gonna sweat off the fat, but really you gotta burn up the fat from inside, right? So you gotta speed up the metabolism, as also fat is a store of sugar. So remember, sugars get converted easier into fats, and of course that means that your body's going to gain weight in ways that you don't want it to. So all this related to high blood pressures. It starts with high blood pressure, but really the high blood pressure at the end of it is a result of, you know, constipation, dehydration, and not having the right kind of foods in the diet program. So more tips and tricks on how to keep yourself just right. Remember, 2023, it's a healthier me and you walking down the street on foes. All right, y'all. Take it easy. Again, please comment down below if any of this information gave you a little bit more value. Please feel free to share it, tag me in it, send it to a friend that maybe isn't,